I don't know what's more confusing, learning astrology or just being a human. Moonday Musings is here to help with that. A weekly, no bullshit guide for the upcoming cosmic forecast and how you can actually use this in your real life. Well, hello, neighbor. Happy Monday. Happy Moonday, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of Moonday Musings on That Witch podcast. I'm Danny. I'm That Witch Next Door. I'll be your host, your guide, your mentor, your instructor, your spiritual bestie in all things modern witchcraft and cosmic living. And if this is your very first time here on That Witch podcast or at Moonday Musings, a very special hello and welcome. Moonday Musings is a place where we talk about how we can work with the current astrology in our daily little witchy lives. And on the last Moonday or Monday of the month, we get together for a very special reflection and gratitude reading. And we look back at the previous month that we just lived through, and we prepare ourselves and step forward with intention and clarity into the next month ahead. Now, a few quick little mindful, intentional, witchy tips for reflection practice. I highly recommend you really present yourself and get grounded in whatever it was that you experienced this past month in July 2026. What was July like for you? What actually happened? How did you feel about that? How did you respond to certain experiences and events? How were you responded to? And this is something that you can kind of sit and think about. This is also something that you can actively do. And I actually recommend that reflection is something you actively participate in. Even further than, just kind of thinking and pondering and reflecting only in your mind. This is a part of the process. But some other things that you can do, especially tangible things that you can do, is you can go back and look at any data that you have collected this month. What is the evidence you have from this past month of July? Go back and look at any photos that you took. You can even look back at photos that you were taken. Do a really quick scroll and see who contacted you? Who were you talking to the most in your DMs, in your text messages? Do you remember some of those conversations? Were there any that you forgot? You can also use your journal, your planners, your calendars, and go back and look at appointments and events that you had scheduled, tasks that you needed to do. Did you get some of them done? Were there some that you didn't? What were any of the unexpected twists and turns of this month? Because the truth is that pretty much every single month has something that popped up unplanned, of course, on our calendar. How did you respond to these? How did they come up? What were those like for you? And of course, we can always utilize the astrology of this past month as well. So you can go back and refresh yourself on the astrological timeline. So if you listen to our first Moonday Musings episode of the month, every month, I go over an astrological timeline of the major events in astrology for the month ahead. And I walk through this chronologically and offer my own little tidbits, maybe insights, maybe things that we could keep in mind or be aware of. And I encourage that you take notes along the way somewhere, whether it's in a notebook or on your calendar or your planner, so that you have these little present reminders as you move throughout the month. And you see those little notes that you took for yourself. Oh, that's right. This is that full moon day. And Danny was talking about this. And that made me think about this when she mentioned X, Y, and Z. This is also really beneficial to have at the end of the month on our last Moonday Musings episode of the month, when you're doing your intentional reflection practice and you can go back through, again, your notes, through your planner, through your calendar, and take a look at what was the major astrology. Now, if you need any help, any reminders, if you missed the first Moon Day episode of this past month, not to worry, my friend. There is a full written timeline of those major astrological events that we went over together on my blog right now, thatwitchnextdoor.com/blog. It's a free post. It's got a nice written out timeline, and I released this on the same day of the first Moon Day of the month episode. You can even go back and listen to it, which can be another kind of big kind of mind-blowing or full circle moment when you go back and listen to what we were talking about potentially happening now with the retrospect of what actually transpired for you this month. All right, now once you've taken some time to reflect, I do recommend doing your reflection part of the process, if possible, before you head into today's reading. Ideally, maybe you pause the episode and take a quick skim through some of those things. If you want to really elongate that practice, obviously you can always come back to the episode whenever you want, or you can do it later on as well. I do think that this reading is so valuable and going to give you exactly what you need, exactly what is coming through naturally for you, whether you do your intentional reflection ahead of time or not. I do think it hits in a whole different type of way when you've done your intentional reflection first. And with all of that in mind, then open yourself up to our card reading. But that is just my personal suggestion and recommendation. I try not to do a ton of hard and fast rules around here. I like to bend and break and question and poke at lots of rules imposed on witchcraft and witchy lifestyle, including our astrology practices, our tarot practices. Now, I'm going to be using, I'm going to be using the Golden Universal Tarot deck today, which is just an interpretation of the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck. It's pretty close to the original, but not a direct duplicate of Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork and imagery, but pretty close. And then, as is tradition on Moonday Musings Reflection and Gratitude episode, we, of course, will be utilizing the Work Your Light deck as well for a little oracle perspective at the end of our tarot reading. So, my friend, I invite you to right here kind of refreshen and get into present grounded energy. You can take some deep breaths. You can roll out your shoulders or your ankles or wrists. You can wiggle your fingers or toes. You can even make facial expressions kind of with your eyes or nose or mouth and wiggle around using physical movement to refresh the energy. And then just allow yourself as comfortable of a position or posture or motion that you're in right now in this moment, whether you are sitting still while you're listening to this episode or you're driving or you're walking around. I want you to focus on allowing the earth beneath you to equally support both sides of your body and your being as much as possible right now. And when you find that centered, quiet, grounded space, I want you to open yourself up to any guidance, any insight, any messages that you've been needing or seeking at this time. We have a quiet deck. I kind of assumed a flyer or a jumper today, and I don't think that's how we're going to be receiving our cards. So, let's see who's calling for it. I want you to think about July 2026. What has this time been like for you? What's been coming up for you? Where do you feel like you're going? Where do you feel like you were taken? And one more is in here, I can tell. Okay. Buckle up. And I really mean that in quite a nice way. All right. So right off the bat, we have Page of Cups. Now, the pages in the suit of any of the suits can really represent these more underdeveloped or in development parts of ourselves, or even as is reflected in others around us. This can definitely be someone in your life bringing in or reflecting this energy. Page energy can be a little immature. Again, I love the reframe of looking at it as like energy that's currently in development, that's currently in learning process. And there's very kind of young, early teenager vibes for me in the pages. This is an energy that is like, I want you to know that I am not a kid anymore. I've learned so much. I know so much. And as we know in the archetype of the teenager, there's still so much to go. But again, this is early teenage energy. We're not necessarily angsty. We're not as jaded by our teenage experience. Now, the Page of Cups says that there is a situation or a relationship, an experience in your life that you are still trying to understand exactly how it feels for you, how it felt for you, how it's impacted you, or how it's impacting you currently. It's not completely and fully developed and clear yet, but you have started to get kind of the pingings that there is something here. Something's been coming up and something needs to be worked on, nurtured so that it feels safe enough to fully come up and out. And because we're in the suit of cups here, how we feel and emotional safety is a big deal. If you think about that early teenager archetype again, emotional safety. In fact, what's coming up, whether it's an experience you've been going through or went through, or this is a relationship that you're going through or went through, I wouldn't be surprised if it's related to this time in your life or if it activates this inner archetype for you and your inner early teenager. Now, right after this, we get reversed 8 of Wands. And this tells me that there is a little bit more which way is up and which way is down. There's more trying to figure it out than feels fully figured out right now. And you need to do the work on this and face it. This is not something that you can run away from. I would say that avoiding it is going to further this 8 of Wands reversed energy. It's going to add to the confusion. It's going to add to the feeling of feeling scattered or outside of yourself or off center. I really want to give you some motivation though, because right after this, we pulled the Star, this insanely gorgeous, stunning, powerful card of healing and restoration, and 10 of Swords reversed. These coming in together at the very end, the anchoring of our reading, tells me that profound healing takes place after this work. after you nurture and continue developing this part of yourself, or working through a situation, an issue, a conflict, maybe in a job, maybe in a relationship, like I said. But whatever it is, as soon as I brought it up, I know that you thought of what this might be for you. And wherever we avoid, especially because it feels uncomfortable, I kind of want to revert you back to some wisdom from the Page of Cups, which is really shown in the symbolism of the cup with the little fish poking its head out, because this represents life's surprises. This represents the unpredictable and the unplanned. And everyone is tasked with learning how to move through that which we never expected, that which we didn't plan for, maybe we didn't even hope for. Whatever this is could be like something happening where you're like, I really didn't want it to be this way. And when you think about that inner teenager archetype, this idea of borderlining on a tantrum starts to come up for me. And I wonder if that part of you has never felt fully encouraged and fully safe to completely express your frustrations, your disappointments. And there is a way to do that reparenting for that part of yourself and say, you're valid. Of course you're feeling frustrated. Of course you're feeling disappointed. Of course this feels hard and difficult. And you can do hard things. What are some hard things that we've got through before? Because reverse 10 of swords, you've been through some shit. You've been through some shit. You've been wronged. You've been hurt. You've been lied to or deceived or betrayed. And you've gotten through it. It's reversed and it came right after the star. You can get through this too. You maybe even are already getting through it without realizing it. But running away from it or hiding behind comfort and familiarity is only going to add to a feeling of total confusion and lack of direction in general. So, whoa, hello. I love this reading. And just so you know, this doesn't have to be like, well, Danny, the thing that this made me think of didn't happen in July, for example. That's okay. That doesn't mean that the events that transpired in July weren't meant to guide you to this point of realization about whatever time that took place for you. Oh my gosh. We have pulled this card so many times on Moonday Musings. We got the Soul Family card. And if you're a regular listener, this is not the first time that we've gotten this card. I feel like I've read it multiple times. They do utilize the word tribe in here. And I personally like using the term community. Okay. Just to give space and honor and reverence to indigenous cultures who are literally part of or come from tribes. All right. And so this is like an even more like universal term, community. Cut this, everybody. My computer's about to die. Hold on. There we go. All right. The Soul Family card, as read in the Work Your Light deck. Soul Family, call in your community. You don't have to do it alone. It is time to call in your soul family and support team. People who get you at a soul level. People who are the same kind of weird as you. People who are your chosen family. They are coming and they are looking for you. If you haven't found them yet, this is a sign that they are close by. But in order for them to find you and recognize you when they do, it is important that you stop dimming your light and truly let yourself be seen. If you have already found them, then you are being called to let them support you and perhaps also assemble a wider support team. Your support team can consist of all types of people, such as a therapist, a coach, a mentor, or a healer. Tune in to what kind of support you need now. This is so poetic and beautiful to wrap up this tarot reading, because this tarot reading is asking you not to run away from something and not to avoid, which kind of indicates that there might be a knee-jerk reaction to do that. There might also be this knee-jerk response of feeling that you have to do this all by yourself, that you're all alone, that you're helpless or hopeless, or that you're isolated, or that no one could possibly get it. We're getting the Soul Family card because you do have the support available to you that you need to get through this. Maybe you need to give yourself permission to ask for it, to ask for support, or to ask for help. Maybe there's someone you could call or send a text to, make an appointment with, like some of the examples that it listed, like a therapist or a mentor or a healer. You are not alone, not in whatever you need to face or process or work through, not in what you need to share or accomplish or celebrate. You have community and you have support, neighbor. And isn't that such a gorgeous, beautiful reminder when we're tending to especially that inner archetype of an early teenager, when for most of us, that was a time we felt most alone and misunderstood. What a good reading today. I hope that you needed that as much as I did, neighbor. Thanks for spending some time with me there. And thanks for allowing me to read your cards for you at the end of this beautiful July 2026. Or whatever it was for you. Maybe it was a hard July 2026. Maybe it was a crazy, maybe it was a shitty July 2026, wherever it falls on the spectrum of you. I hope truly that today's reading had exactly what you needed to move forward. Now, in some neighborhood news, if you didn't already hear on my last episode, or if you're not already kind of following along with me on social media and YouTube, I have been making a lot more content. And I'm also doing more and more kind of off-the-cuff, spontaneous content. I started doing this first in that witch school, which is always kind of my starting point for anything new, anything I'm kind of testing out for that witch neighborhood. And then I finally began starting to bring this to my public free content platforms. So make sure that you're following on all social media platforms, YouTube, That Witch Next Door, so that you don't miss a thing. So many exciting things coming to That Witch neighborhood for the rest of 2026 and into 2027. I've already been such a busy little bee these past few months, especially these past few weeks. And there's already so much more to keep doing, to keep working on, to keep sharing with you. And I can't wait to take you along the journey, along the way. So neighbor, until I see you next time, thanks for spending part of your day with me. Make sure that you stay safe, have fun, and of course, stay magical out there. If you are a big fan of That Witch podcast and everything we do here in our witchy neighborhood, I would be so grateful if you could head over and give us a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. This is something that helps boost our reach for the show, and it lets so many others know that what they're getting here at That Witch podcast is really, really good quality stuff. It Only takes a couple of minutes and it's totally free, and it makes a huge, huge difference from one witch to another. Thank you so much for your support, neighbor.